What he just did here is astounding to me, that one man pulls together what should have been done from day one. We should have been very closely watched by those agencies that are here to protect us. It's amazing to me that one man took it upon himself, partnered with several people in the community, and pulled this together. So we're going to have some questions and answer for him in a minute here, but there's a couple people that want to come up with a few more words. Our Rex Parrish would like to come up and connect some dots for us, and then we're going to move on to, just so you have an agenda of what's going to happen. You guys really need to stay, because now you're going to hear about what do we do? What do we do next? Okay? Food and Water Watch, Save Porter Ranch are going to speak to that specifically. But first, let's take care of the legal side.
You know, the one thing that occurs to me is somebody made those decisions. Yeah. Somebody decided don't test for this. Yeah. Somebody said test for this, you know. Senator Stern is getting together a Senate investigation along with Senator Bob Hertzberg. It's really time to get on your emails and send it to all of the Board of Supervisors and say they should join that investigation. Because we have a tendency to think, well, the Board of Supervisors did it. No, they didn't. It was somebody in that agency that they relied on just like you did. We need to find out who that person is. At the very least, he needs to be fired before they do another study without putting this stuff in, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I would like to introduce the co-founders of Save Porter Ranch, President Matt Pakucko and Kyoko Hibino. So if they could find their way up here. And this is important. These are some very passionate and dedicated people that have done an amazing job to keep this front and center. They want to, and they need to partner with many of you in the room. Here's a co-president. I'm sorry, co-founder and president.
Thank you, Craig. I'll give you a brief 30-second history of Save Porter Ranch for those who don't know. We are a 501c3 public benefit corporation. We were formed April 2014, long before the blowout. Kyoko and I started it to stop oil drilling in the hills that we didn't even know we had oil wells. And then we quickly found out that SoCalGas was a much bigger problem. So we were all set up to do our own door-to-door health survey to see what's going on with all the health symptoms that predate the blowout for decades. And we're going to do our own air monitoring. And then the blowout happened. And that changed all our plans and changed everybody's lives. How many people's lives were completely turned upside down by the blowout? Yeah. So now you guys have seen what is happening. That we warned of months. October 24th, Save Porter Ranch was out there in the forefront telling people that this is going to happen, and now it has. But who is going to fight for our community? The health department clearly ain't fighting for the community. Jerry Brown, our governor, he's not fighting for the community. Mayor Garcetti, we all live in the city. What's he doing?
Nothing.
Nothing. Councilman Englander, what is he doing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
The state agencies, what are they doing? They're the ones that approved the 33% failure rate wells. They approved it. That's our state. What are they doing for us? Failing. 33% on the first week. We have to defend ourselves. We have to fight for ourselves. Mama ain't coming to help any of us. Save Porter Ranch is the only local organization that's on the forefront of this. I mean, we have Food and Water Watch. They're an awesome partner. You can hear from them in a second. We have other network of organizations that we work with. But you know what? If the local residents aren't out there screaming and shouting and having moments of outrage, thank you, Rex, for defending my outrage. Many of you have heard it. But man, so if we're not out there in the forefront, nobody is going to be.
That's right.
And remember, Save Porter Ranch is a bunch of residents. It's not some outside agitator. We all live here. We're all suffering from that. So, in addition to people power, though, it takes a lot of people, a long time, and it's a hell of a lot of work. Believe me, there's a bunch of us that know how much work this is. And it has to be done by the local people. And besides people power, it does take money. We are up against deep pockets, 10 billion a year revenue stream, Semper Energy, against a bunch of local residents here. It's going to take money to do this fight, too. Any organization, any company, anything, it takes money. Hence the envelopes you found on your seats with the Save Porter Ranch address. We are a 501c3. Donations are tax deductible. You can give those envelopes to myself or Kyoko wearing a shirt like this, or leave them at the table in the front, or you can mail them right away when you get home, please. Now, Save Porter Ranch has applied for grant money, and we've gotten a couple of small grants, but get this. The givers of grants generally don't like to give money to rich, white, suburban homeowners. I don't care if you're being poisoned. They think it's a Porter Ranch problem, and we all have a lot of money, and they don't want to give it to us. They want to give it to other communities, and maybe rightly so. But either way, grants ain't flowing our way either. So we need help in every way. The bottom line, and besides money again, you're going to hear in a minute more specific details of how you can donate your time. If you don't have the money, donate your time. We need volunteers. We don't need ideas. We got a lot of ideas. We don't need things that the five of us, most of them are right here, should do. We got plenty to do. We need people to step out, become a leader, be involved, be self-sufficient, be handed a task and take care of it, or come up with something and take care of it. We need real people to work with us. So get on our mailing list, sign up at the table in front, be sure you write clearly and legibly or we won't be getting a hold of you. Get on our email list. And most of all, when we send that email, or you get that phone call, or you see that Facebook post, don't just delete it. You got to do something. You got to take some action. Or we get that. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt Pakucko, Save Porter Ranch. It really is, when I opened the presentation, this is a long time ago, I realized that. You guys have all been incredibly patient. But it is, be informed, and I'm going to ask Alex to work her way up to the front of the room. Be informed, right? And you got a lot of information today. Get involved, you get influence. And then you get organized, your influence grows exponentially. And I want to introduce you to Alex Nagy, who has been an amazing force. She's a part of Food and Water Watch. Are you guys a little angry about what you saw today? You a little concerned?
Hell yes.
Good. You should be. Okay? If we sit idly by, if we become placid, if we just sit back and relax and assume people are going to take care of us, ain't going to happen. Okay? Alex is awesome, along with partnering with Save Porter Ranch at helping get you guys involved. Here's Alex Nagy.
Hey, everyone. All right, so I have two things I want to tell you about. One is we are going to win, and we will shut down Aliso Canyon. And we're going to do that by amassing the most incredible amount of public pressure, political pressure that we can to move Jerry Brown. And he has 1 year left as governor. And so we are going to do everything we can to aggressively go after him. And with all the information we've just heard, we have more motive than ever. So I really need all of you to get involved. You know that the anniversary is coming up of this blowout. October 23rd, you got this on your seat. It's an early Monday morning. And what we plan on doing is doing a petition delivery, a letter delivery with all of our partners and allies and hopefully all of you. And we will do a massive rally outside of that facility. We are doing a training the night before, so please come and see me to learn more about the details of that. But this is going to set the stage of that type of aggressive, we're not going to take it anymore action that we need to be taking to get Governor Brown to take us seriously. So please come. We have the sign-up sheets on the outside. Please sign up to get involved. Safe Porter Ranch has monthly meetings, first Wednesday of every month, where we give out tasks, we do phone banking, we do all types of activities at these meetings to move our goal and our agenda forward. So I really need you to come to this. I just want to see a show of hands of who thinks they can make it Monday morning. Great. Wear red. If you don't have your Shut It All Down t-shirt, we will make sure you get one. And I'm just so honored and so privileged, actually, to be working in this community. I'm from the Valley myself. My family's in Chatsworth. This is very personal to me as well. And I am just so inspired by all of you everyday, ordinary, regular people who, when this blowout first happened and we were rallying on the streets, I remember you guys were a little shy about chanting, a little shy about rallying and doing all that stuff. But you've learned and you know what it takes, and we're going to keep doing more of that. And we're going to go even harder on Jerry because that's what we need to do to shut it down. So please come. It's going to be a lot of fun. Working with all of you is a dream, and together we can really change the world, because this has been a pivotal issue to change the conversation about where our energy comes from and how it impacts communities. No longer can we say natural gas is a clean fuel, and this has been a large part of the reason why we're getting the city of LA to look at 100% renewable energy. So all of this means so much more opportunity down the line, but we have to seize the day, and I know I can count on all of you to do that. So thank you so much. Please come.
Alex Nagy, please, there's tables out in the foyer when you leave. Please sign up for both organizations, okay? We need your support. They need your support. I'm just a resident. I'm not a member of any one of those boards. I just got involved because I was so concerned. You can do the same, okay? It's not hard. I'm going to ask Dr. Nordella to work his way back up to the front of the room. You know, many of you are probably questioning, who is he? Why did he do this? What's the foundation of the man? He has a book out, and it's called Denied. And it's an amazing story, and you get great insights. I didn't think that was going to be hard. I'm sorry. You get great insights into the man, his story, and why he cares so deeply. Okay, so it just all makes sense. Now, in his benevolent way, Jiminy Crickets hasn't done enough for us already. He's donated all the books that are for sale in the foyer, and all proceeds are going to go to Safe Porter Ranch. So, pick up a copy. A lot of this will make much more sense for you. Okay, we're going to do a Q&A. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. You guys have been incredibly patient. Thank you so much. So there's going to be two runners, Walker and Matt. Matt's over there. Walker, you're probably going to come grab this microphone from me, so come on up. Oh, he's already self-corrected. Wonderful. So come on up, Dr. Nordella. Thank you again. Now, please, try and keep your questions brief. Resist the urge to talk about the rash that you had about 4 weeks ago and how you want to have it, it blistered and all that. This is the time for more general questions that you think would be helpful to others in the community, okay? And in that, I'm going to turn it over, and Dr. Nordella will take the Q&A.
So first, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Nordella, for all the work you've done. If it was not for you, we would not have the information that we have. And I just wanted to make everybody aware, like, my family's information is on that screen. Our house was contaminated, and my mom has multiple myeloma from chemical exposure. And they asked me 2 days ago in the hospital, where she is now suffering from it, if she had memory issues and dementia. The lithium in my mom's hair is off the charts. If you think that you are not part of this, you're wrong, because it's going to be in a couple months, a couple days, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I don't know. but I'm standing here dealing with this every single day of my life. It is absolutely unconscionable that no one has gotten back to me from the health department. I have contacted the White House task force, the mayor's office, the governor's office, no one. I'm dealing with chemo every week and losing my mom. That's not fair. This isn't a nosebleed. This isn't a headache. And that's the issue. They think that we can just make up a headache, that we can make up a nosebleed. Hello? How about multiple myeloma? How about the number of people that have reached out to me that also have multiple myeloma? How about the 2 girls that I know, 16 and 17 years old, that have leukemia now in Bell Canyon? Because that's the direction that the wind blows, right? Where is there a map of all the health effects that are happening in Porter Ranch and the cancer that's coming up? Do you know? Does anybody in this room know? No. Because the health department never got back to me when I told them my mom was diagnosed. Dead silence. And now that I see the lithium, and now I'm dealing with my mom who can't remember what she had for breakfast. Are you kidding me right now? This is the United States of America. Where are our government officials? This is outrageous. Anybody else feel that way? Because everyone seems kind of quiet to me. I mean, come on already. Come on. Because someone in this audience, it's going to happen to you too. People need to support Dr. Nordella. People need to support Save Porter Ranch. We cannot do this by ourselves. My parents' house was on Vista Grande by Wilbur in Tampa, less than a mile as a crow flies. Anybody heard that expression all of a sudden? You know, this is within the radius. How many people at Castle Bay Lane have died? How many teachers are sick? How many? Anybody care? No, because if it doesn't happen to you, it doesn't matter. How about that? If this was a fire, if there was smoke, it would make a difference, and all the news agencies would be there. I don't see anybody. Anyway, I'm sure someone else has something more wonderful to say than me, but thank you, Dr. Nordella, and you know what? Everybody should be tested. So is that testing still going on?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody in this room needs to be tested. Every single person, and you know what? SoCal Gas should be paying for that. So,
And the list of government people to contact that she's talking about is on the tables outside.
Thank you for being here. And I wanted to ask you, if you grow fruits and vegetables in your backyard and you live in Porter Ranch, should you be eating it or should you just throw it all away?
I don't know. I think what you should do, honestly, I think there's so much that needs to be done after this. I would like to take and do an epidemiology study of all of the patients that are sick, like, you know, Kelly's mom, and to find out. But another thing is we should test the soil to see if these are in your soil that actually are pulling up, and then you would eat it. So until then, I probably would stay safe and not.
Hi, I just want to say, I'm trying not to get emotional, but my daughter has leukemia, AML leukemia, and it's the kind that is connected to benzene, and yes, her bedroom was on that north-facing window, so I want to know, because we didn't get her tested, it all happened so fast for us. We did make her hair into a wig. Can she be tested now? Obviously, all of her hair fell out. I don't know if it's too late to have her tested, but, and then I have 2 other kids, and is it too late to test people now? I mean, I know it's 2 years out, but.
Are you still in the community?
We're moving it next week. We've sold, we've taken the loss, we're out of here. We're just out of here, but we are still here for another week or 2, yeah.
Well, one, I wouldn't worry about her hair because the benzene is in the urine, so I would save your money on that.
Okay.
Could you test her urine? I probably wouldn't. I'd probably test her blood. If you're in the community and she's been in the community for a significant time, I would send. Did Children's work her up, or?
Well, Children's Hospital just did the work. Actually, they're the ones that found the diagnosis because, of course, all of the doctors in Porter Ranch area were told not to look for anything. So she'd been sick for months and months and months, and we were told she had costochondritis. We were told she had the flu. We were told maybe it's juvenile arthritis. We were going to get a referral 2 months down the line to look into that, and we just ultimately went to CHLA's emergency room, and they found it within hours. But at that point, she had been out of school for months, in a week, off a week. She couldn't walk.
Right.
We were literally sleeping in a bathtub because only the hot water seemed to give her any kind of comfort, and I thought she was going to drown because we just had to lay there, and we were doing this every night, just trying to get her through the night.
Painful
and then
stuff,
try
yeah.
to drag her on to school, and it literally got to the point where she couldn't walk.
Did they do genetic workup on her?
My understanding is that yes, because currently now, and thank God she's in remission, but they had to do the genetic sequencing for the leukemia to diagnose it, to understand that it was AML and which one. So I know it's chromosome 9 and 11 with an occasional 8. So I know they have that, and I know that there's new testing that they look at. Oh gosh, it starts with a F. It's like at the molecular level that they're now able to look at, because they're now starting to map genetic sequencing of kids across the United States with AML. That's a whole other boat, but they're looking at that now, and so they compare it. They run her every month, every 2 months, and they compare it to see if that mutation is resurfacing, to see if she's going to relapse. And we have to do that for the next 5 years of her life. So.
Well, I'd love to get in touch with you after and
Yes.
then bring you into this epidemiology study and start looking at all of these cases. I think that's the next big step.
Okay.
And then putting all of that information together and moving forward.
Perfect.
But
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'd just like to reiterate, this is question and answer. Many of us, all of us, have a story to tell, heartbreaking, and they're horrible. And those are really best saved for our elected officials. They're the ones that need to hear that. But right now, we need questions that Dr. Nordella can answer to help us better understand what's going on. Thank you.
Question, but a quick background, piece of background information. My bodybuilding, marathon running husband was diagnosed with myelofibrosis, which is a very rare bone marrow cancer, and AML as well. The pillar of our family, the main income of everybody has been now reduced to pretty much nothing, and we're not only medically, we're also financially suffering. So if there is a study going on, then we would love to participate in that. My question, your study, you put a lot of information out there that went very fast and was not really legible from all angles. Is it published somewhere?
Not yet, but we're planning on doing such. It's going to take a little time because this was the mini version of the long PowerPoint, and then to supplement that with all of the science and articles, it's going to be thick.
Is there going to be a follow-up?
None is planned yet. I'm working really hard on getting office space so I can get back to the clinical aspect of it and start seeing them. I'm hoping that'll happen in the next couple of weeks, and just keep an eye on the Facebook because we'll announce it there.
Our case is known to the lawyer, so please, by all means,
Oh,
if
absolutely.
you are
Absolutely.
interested in continuing
Absolutely.
study. And thanks for the wonderful work.
You're welcome.
Matt Pakucko, Craig at the front of the stage here. Matt, you want to talk about the websites to go to, because a lot of this information will get on there, please.
Oh yeah, just Google Save Porter Ranch, that phrase, and you'll find our Facebook. You don't need a Facebook account to see the information. And saveporterranch.org or saveporterranch.com. Either one of those will get you to the portal where you can start finding out more information and whatever comes out in the future about this.
We do have a hard stop at 4 o'clock, so let's get some more questions. And then we'll come back to Lori up here.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nordella. I'm so
Welcome.
impressed with what you've done. Anyway, I wonder, do you know at all how far away from Porter Ranch people should be tested? I'm in Simi, my daughter's in Winnetka, or should we all be tested to see how far this is affecting everyone?
Well, if you gave me my Christmas wish, I'd say everybody, if we could get a good sample size in Simi, we could see if it went there. I have a suspicion, and in fact, that brings up I'll ask my own question, about a health study that was done by UCLA in regards to the winds, okay? It was done and completed in September of 2016. It's been at Public Health for over a year. I would think and hope it has data in it to show that this has gone well beyond the 6 mile or 5 mile limit, or whatever they thought, and how they got that, I have no idea. But I think that there's more contamination in the valley than we let on to be. So would I love to be able to do a study all the way throughout the valley to Woodland Hills? Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know I spoke to Robert Kennedy's, legal lawsuit, whoever the attorney was, and he said we were in the wind and within 15 miles, so he said we did qualify, so maybe we should
By the
test.
way, I want to inform everybody that, and Patricia, I think you could comment, from my understanding, if I'm correct, the statute of limitation runs on October 19th for the litigation. She should address this.
So the question of the statute of limitations is a complicated one. I actually had talked to Rex about, could he talk about it? And he's like, it is very complicated. And the reason it's complicated is that technically, while the conservative date is it runs on October 23rd, people who have been damaged and didn't know about the blowout until, say, February 1st, 2016, you might have a longer statutory time period to bring your lawsuit. But the reality is the conservative date is October 23rd of this year to bring any personal injury claims. I believe because of the number of lawsuits filed, people may be protected. And so if I were to represent somebody, I would argue for a longer statutory period. But the conservative deadline would be October 23rd of this year. And by the way, when Rex was talking about the October 22nd date, we have documentation showing that they had reported to the Regional Water Quality Control Board about the release of benzene and other chemicals in both surface and subsurface waters, and they said it happened on October 22nd. So the October 22nd is, I believe, a Sunday, so the 23rd is the next day. So either way you'd calculate it, it would get you to that as the conservative date for personal injury claims.
Lori, you had a question? Matt? Here we go.
Thank you, Dr. Nordella. I have a daughter with hair down to her waist. Looking at the half-inch...
Can we have it?
Well, I tried to talk her into it over the summer, and she wouldn't do it, but I think now I'm going to sneak in while she's sleeping. And
better you than me.
Yes, exactly. What length do you need it to be at now with... I was trying to figure out where we're at now.
Well, we're not anywhere. We have anything that we can do, any testing we could do. Would I love to do it longer? Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think the principle holds. And if we could do it longer, if we had really long hair, we could do them in the same spot. That would be great.
And so my understanding for this entire room is that you're trying to get as many people to get those samples in as possible to increase
absolutely.
the results.
I think everybody should be tested right now. Push it out from Porter Ranch. I mean, my theory is, I don't want to get political, but if you have more people, people are going to pay attention to you. So if we can push it out through the valley, all the way to the Woodland Hills, Encino, all the way down, and start looking at all of those subgroups of people, I think that would be very, very helpful. And also, just even today, I would probably take some of your water bottles and make maybe get 4 samples or so. Don't have to send it yet. Certainly do not want to panic anybody or to go off the, the end of the pier, but just hold them. And then we can test them later. If we have to even run it through a different lab or whatever, we'll have them there.
One other question is to the lithium. For those of us who filter our water, I mean, my
Good
Kenmore
question.
refrigerator says the filter does filter out heavy metals. Do you think it is filtering out lithium? Or I mean, I know you're not an expert on filtration.
I am not, and the research that I've done for this is that the charcoal filters don't seem to work with the heavy metals or the salts like the lithium. The reverse osmosis does. We only have 1 out of 1 sample, okay? We went and ran it in the bathroom, positive. We went and ran it post their reverse osmosis, non-detectable. So don't have it. I'd love to get more of those in too. See, we're just scratching the surface.
And again, your work is just commendable.
Oh,
what you're doing
okay.
for our community, and we thank you
You're
from
welcome.
the bottom of our hearts.
You're welcome.
Walker, you got anyone on the left side of the?
Matt beat me to it.
There we go.
Okay. I'm very concerned about this, especially when I heard about the uranium in the hair. And I was wondering if they have been testing for radionucleotides or any type of radiation in that area in addition, because that is a big indicator that something is wrong.
Are you talking in the air?
Well, in the air, in the water, and any way it can get in, because if you even get 1 photon, alpha photon in your lungs, that can trigger cancer.
Well, it's a potential. We tested the uranium in the water, and it came out within the standard. That's number 1. Nobody that I know of, unless somebody else knows of them, went around with some form of an alpha detector on a machine that would tell us if there was alpha radiation in the air during the blowout. That would have been great to know.
Question over here on the right side of the room, right of the stage. There's a question over here.
They continue to report leaks. Do we still, they're continuing to have minor leaks almost daily. They gave out air filters. Should those air filters still be in constant use today? And what about going out for walks in our neighborhood, just normal living? Where are we on that?
Well, I think the issue is that from what I know, they only have 1 fence line monitor in somebody's backyard. It would be nice to have more. It doesn't seem to correlate with the information that the gas companies' monitors are looking at. I went and met with a lab, local, that we could take some Summa canisters and collect samples at the time of the spike so it would be real time. Take them, cap them, run them down, and let them do an evaluation. I think it was $150 an evaluation for BTEX. I think that would be very, very good to know. But again, they talk about $40 million, and I think, what did we do the study with? 7,000? And thank you for everybody who donated. So I'm not sure where the 40 million would go, but interesting.
We wish you had the $40 million, Doctor, to do it for us the right way. We have a question over here on the right.
Hi, Doctor.
My friend.
Just had a question about the uranium and lithium toxicity. Is there a way for the body to release the toxins and to release the exposure or to minimize it?
Good question. I think that the uranium is in the hair. It's staying in the hair. It's like tattooing. Okay? Can we show if there's uranium in the body? You can do 2 tests. You can do a blood test, and you can do a stool sample, actually, for uranium. So those could be followed up with the patients. In regards with the lithium is a lot shorter lived. But we could go back and do blood tests on patients and measure their lithium level and correlate it, which should be done. I would love to know that, to see what the levels are and start putting this together, because nobody knows with the hair sampling. All it is that it's present, okay? It doesn't tell you if there's any correlation with disease, and it doesn't tell you if there's any correlation with what the serum level is in the body. So it just stains you. You've been exposed. You've had it. and that's it. So those studies could be done, and those would be exciting to really find out. But I'm kind of a science nerd.
We have a question over here.
Hi. If you still live in the community, should you be taking, what steps, if any, should you be taking to protect yourself?
Move. I mean, I've had patients ask me that. I can't recommend that to anybody. I think the issue is, I think as a community, what we should jump on, we can jump on two things very quick. One is having these poor people come out, like they're volunteering information, and start to do an epidemiology study. That we could do very quickly. The second is, if we could get the funding, we should start measuring for BTEX when you spike on methane. Okay? That would be very important. It would also help the community. You can also follow that and then compare the data to what the gas company is doing. That would be important data as well, and saying, okay, how is this? We get this and you don't.
We have another one over here.
Yes, Dr. Nordella, I'm very concerned with the high amount of uranium that has been found, which decays to radon, which then decays, goes to uranium, goes to radium, and then it goes to radon, which is also radioactive, I understand. Are you aware that hexavalent chromium, or chromium-6, has been found in the creek near the park up on Cessnon? Of course, this was the Aaron Brockovich discovery.
I was going to say the same,
it's not radioactive, it's very harmful. Also, are you aware that gas companies, in their search for gas, they go to the shale pits with their instruments, and they look for shale pits that have the highest amount of radiation, because that's what gives them the highest amount of gas. We need to get our soil tested up here, and it's a really urgent need.
Great.
Matt, got someone in the center of the room?
Hi, Dr. Nordella. Lori partly answered my question about the filtering of our water. I thought I was being safe by using the Brita filter types for my dog and I. And now I wanted to clarify that, has it been tested, or you definitely think that that's not taking out the lithium? And my second part then is, when we wash fruit and vegetables under the kitchen sink, if we don't have reverse osmosis at this point, have we been damaging ourselves more?
Okay, to answer that, I think scientifically what I would do is do two studies, do two testing on you. I would do it pre and post your filter. Whatever filter you're using, do it pre and post. See what the level is, after, see what the level is. Then you could answer that question. But it's my understanding, reviewing the literature, very short review, that the charcoal filters are not effective. The filtering systems itself are not effective, but the reverse osmosis seems to reverse both of them.
Question over here, right of stage, and then we'll go back over to Walker on the left side.
So thank you very much for all your great work. Quick question, I guess, have there been any thoughts, any collaborations with academic centers? And, you know, you mentioned UCLA a few times, but other local or other universities where I'm wondering if collaborations like that could put greater resources for everybody to get this work done.
UCLA has, UCLA I think is tied by their time they would have to spend in the finances. They're looking for a grant, was the last I heard. I don't know if they've applied and or received it. That would be a possibility. It's not a large amount of funds. Their direction that they want to go on is more of the monitoring of the air, the methane, and so forth and so on. So I have made contact with a gentleman out of Berkeley. That seems, I hope he still has a high level of interest in this after the presentation today. And I would look forward to sitting and meeting with them, but there's no other academic institution. I would love to look for an environmental group that wants to look at this. So I have contacted also, just reminded me of the Physicians for Social Responsibility. And I just actually gave a talk last week in Tucson to the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, and I'm hoping they would have an interest in doing something to collaborate. So hopefully we can start building.
Matt, go to the center of the room.
We know that SoCalGas has had fires since they've been on that mountain, since the 70s. Just since well SS25 was capped, they've had more than a half a dozen fires. What additional chemicals are being released, or is there more harm that's being done to people in addition to what they're already suffering from?
You know what, I don't know the answer to that. I apologize, but I'd be very concerned with a fire. I think that was hazmat's one of their issues when they first rolled on scene. So it's obviously flammable and dangerous. So.
I wasn't sure if it induced more harm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, thank you.
Got one over here.
I was wondering, did you have the opportunity, we are south of, actually northeast of Porter Ranch, about a mile as the crow flies from the facility. We have not heard about all of this because we were relocated 125 miles away for the first part of this. But have you tested well water? We are on a well right behind there, and my brother swears that there's something in the water. We drink bottled water and cook with it. But have you tested any wells?
No. Go ahead.
Okay, that's all right. So I don't know if you want to, but
I'd love to.
We successfully sued the gas company in 2008 for their negligence in that fire of 2008. There was no homes built there, but we were the lead, and we were tired and exhausted from fighting them. They're a great adversary. But during that time, we were trying to see, it burned so badly, we accidentally were drilling down for another test and found that the gas was leaking on our property in 2009, which is documented. And we had it coming out by a tree, and I actually called them several times. So that has been going on a very, very long time there. And is there a list that you could publish, since it was so quick here, of all the things that are wrong that you know of that we could test for in our own doctors?
Oh, you're from your physicians?
Yeah, or if it's going to you, but I mean a list of things that we could test for and watch out for, like I think you were saying about the prostate, knowing.
I honestly would highly recommend you stay with the same lab, because we are on a roll of acquiring information. The lab is outside, and we'll explain to you hair and urine testing.
But I'm saying further than that. We've been exposed a long time. I'm saying for, like I was just hearing some of the sad stories over here, farther than that, farther along, any of these leukemia, and the list of things that you had here was quick, and since we all forget now because we were exposed, is there a list of things that we can get tested for in advance, you know, to watch for
to show
leukemia?
That you potentially could get these?
Yes.
No, there is not. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, you could do a total genetic workup on you and see if you have particular genes that are susceptible to diagnosis.
No, I'm just saying how she had to go all these places just to find out her daughter had leukemia. Is there a list of things that we could actually screen for, I guess is what I'm saying?
Well, the list is at the lab. They would screen for these particular VOCs, okay? And the VOCs are more important to the cancers than necessarily the elements and the metals. That's number one. Number two, the reason she got diagnosed is she became clinically ill. And her leukemia expressed itself in symptoms, and it could express itself from a sore throat to a full syncopal episode or fainting. So then they draw a blood test, and they just draw a blood test. Now you can have regular blood test drawn, and I think that's absolutely fine. You just do a CBC or a complete blood count with a differential, and then they would look at that.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's not
Question
right
on.
now, right? We can't come to
I've got about 2 more weeks. I'm hoping to get the lease issues worked out, and I'll be back in the same building in about 2 weeks.
Question over here on the right.
Dr. Nordella.
Hey.
Hi.
I know.
So my husband and I actually live in Sherman Oaks, which I know is quite a ways away, and he tested positive for heavy metals, for lead, the end of last year. So he's been getting chelations. But my question to you is, I saw that the lithium goes all the way down to Santa Monica. So even if the city addressed what you're saying, which is you believe lithium is way higher than what they tested in Denmark or wherever it was, even if they say, yes, we acknowledge this, is there a way of getting the lithium out of the water? And how is the lithium getting in the water? Do you not?
Well, the second one is the only one I have is one household out of house one that the reverse osmosis seemed to remove it. But I would love everybody to get tested and then fill out a little questionnaire and tell me what filter you use. I'll correlate the data if you guys just go out and do it, and we can put it all together, and I think that would be impressive. Second is the second part you asked about the lithium is what?
So like even if we're showering in it and it's porous and it's getting into your skin and the city acknowledges this is a problem, we need to get the lithium out, is there a way to get it out of the water system?
I think you look at reverse osmosis, and I truly don't think there's an issue in you showering in it. Lithium is like a salt, so if you put salt on your skin and you went into the shower, it'd wash off. And it's not absorbed through the skin, it's usually adjusted orally. Okay, it can be inhaled. Okay, if it's in the air, it's aerosolized with other things you can't inhale, it can't get in the blood.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, similar question having to do with water contamination. And I don't know if you can answer it, but so in terms of this, and where I'm going with this is to find out if, since the Department of Water and Power, City of LA has multiple systems, including a reservoir downwind in Granada Hills and a reservoir downwind in Encino. In terms of the number of, or the locations where the water testing was done, the water samples were taken from, and also I assume there's some lawyers listening, but if the Southern California Gas Company was responsible for contaminants getting in to the city's water supply, to me that seems like a whole nother legal matter that the gas company was responsible, and of course DWP is a multi-billion-dollar entity as well. But anyway, if you could answer if you know the location of the water, it was individual homes versus any type of water supply for DWP.
The only thing I can say is exactly what I've already stated. I have no idea how the veins all work and how it's all captured. We could find that out. I don't think it's hard. I think we just need time and collaboration. Whether we'll get the collaboration, I don't know. But we might, I'm hoping. I sent an email to DWP on Thursday to two different gentlemen and basically informed them of what I found, and hopefully they'll pick that up. I haven't heard back from anybody as of yet, so we'll see. The other question you asked me was in regards to where it came from. I apologize. Have no idea. Have no idea, and that's the takeaway from this. Just have no idea yet. It just needs a lot further. But again, we just discovered this a couple of 3 days ago. So it's very, very, very kind of cutting edge.
We have another one over here. Over here, Doctor. Dr. Nordella, the government has not been testing for radiation in the air and soil. They're not testing for heavy metals recently in the air and soil. Stormwater testing has stalled. Since last December, 10 months ago, was the one and only set of stormwater sampling that we've received for the community. This creek water that flows in the canyons down from Aliso and also on the Santa Clarita side is hot with radiation and heavy metals, per the Water Board report. No testing, and the rainy season is just about to begin. Usually by the end of this month, we start getting measurable rain. Can we also do our own testing? We need to do radiation real-time sampling of air. The EPA in Las Vegas has the skills and talent to test the soils for radiation. So far, not one soil sample has been done. The AQMD is not testing since September 13th, 1 full month ago, despite numerous new leaks at multiple locations on the Aliso Canyon site, and also at Termo. The pipelines that come in from out of state, the Department of Transportation and the fire department regulate those and the contents of what's in those pipelines, including the radiation content from the new fracked well, the fracked shale from out of state. Do we have this important data? And can we do a Freedom of Information Act request on all of these agencies to receive this data? Will you send these agencies a request from a medical professional like yourself for testing on behalf of us, your patients in the community, for this information as a medical request? And also, the groundwater is very heavily contaminated. There's not been one single test of our groundwater.
So the answer to your question is yes. I'd be more than happy to request it. I'd like to see the information myself, so yes.
Question on the right here.
Hi, Dr. Nordella. I'd like to commend you on the study that you did in just 1 year's period of time. I also would like to commend you on the wonderful prices that you have on the toxicology kits that you have outside. It's better than what I could get. I'm a neurologist in private practice in Culver City. I live only 3 miles away from the Inglewood oil field, which is the largest urban oil field in the United States. And we are experiencing the same or similar symptoms as you folks with the headache, dizziness, migraine attacks, asthmatic attacks, etc. We as in our Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community, or CCSE for short, we did a study back in 2009, a health survey study, and we did find that there's a preponderance of 3 types of cancers in our neck of the woods. Prostate cancer, breast cancer, and lymphoma, leukemia. So we're looking at a similar type of situation, and the blowout in 2006 that occurred in the Inglewood oil field, there was blowout of methane and hydrogen sulfide, so we're dealing with the common denominator of methane. And you also mentioned that you're looking for a collaborator to work in continuing your study. We are also looking for collaborators because as a UCLA-trained fellow in neuroimmunology, we're looking to the mothership, to our alma mater, UCLA, for collaboration, and unless you have a grant, they don't want to talk to you, even though you're a Bruin yourself.
Ouch.
That hurts, the truth hurts, but that's the way reality plays out. But in any event, I just wanted to let you know that we're out there on the west side, but we'd be happy, we as in the Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community, would be happy to collaborate with you. Luckily these days, because of social media, we have crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, all of the above. So there are ways to get things done. It's mind over matter. So I just wanted to put our availability and our presence out there in your neck of the woods.
Love it. Make sure I get your card. Make sure, oh, beautiful.
So please continue the good work, and
we'll work together.
We'd be happy to
absolutely
sit down and talk with you and move ahead with further projects.
And this brings me to kind of another point. It's like Matt has worked so hard with Save Porter Ranch. I don't see why there shouldn't be Save Van Nuys and Save Woodland Hills and start getting everyone together. The numbers are important.
See, that's how collaboration works right there. That was wonderful. Dr. Gee, thank you so much.
And by the way, he's from SC, just to let you know. We're all about transparency here.
But we collaborated, right?
We did well.
Trojans and Bruins got along. Matt, questions in the center, please.
Craig, you have behind you.
Dr. Nordella, as to the people who are going to take water samples and preserve them for later, is there a preferred method of storing the water samples, a certain place in their home where they should be stored and sealed? And also, is there an expiration date?
A good point. I don't think there's an expiration date for these particular substances. Now, what I'd like to do with the water is I'd like to start looking at other chemicals in it. So where is this coming from? I don't know. Maybe we'll find something else. But as far as the time frame goes, I would just try and keep them at room temperature, seal them, and hopefully we can send them to the same lab and start collecting data. And the more we have, the more informative it will be.
I have one thing to say about the testing. You say Puerto Rancho's run into this with a lot of people that we've asked people to get tested and to send in their results. And there's a lot of pushback. Oh, it costs $110, or the other one costs $269. And yeah, it's a good chunk of money, but there's no other way to do this. There is no other way. And if you wanted those tests, you went to your doctor and got this panel of tests, you'd pay a heck of a lot more money. We even had offers for control groups for free in the beginning, for the control groups, and they didn't want to do it. It's like, what are you, crazy? So the testing is very important, and it is very low price compared to what it should be, and it'll be great for the community, which is where you live, most of you. And so I say, you know, pony up.
Excuse me. You asked, or she asked, if there was a particular vessel that you should put your water samples in. I was assuming that some of these would react with if you were storing them in an aluminum container or something
Correct.
like that.
Yeah, I would just get like you just need 500 cc's a bottle. Give them more than less. So I went over and got 733 cc's or milliliters, filled it up a good 3/4 of the way, capped it, put your name on it, tape it, and then it has to be shipped to the lab, which is not far in the city of Industry.
Thank you, Doctor, for your admirable work. A couple of questions. Number one is, have you, in fact, been tested? That's number one. Number two is, I think we're all scared crapless from the results of what you've put up on the screen. I've lived up here 32 years, and we've always, for the past year or so, we said, we're getting out, we're getting out, we're getting out. But looking at all of what's going on right now, we're looking at what is the long-term effects as well. What's going to happen in 3, 5, 10 years moving forward?
Don't know. That's the unknown of this whole thing. If you read the literature, a lot of these things don't become evident for 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. And then you pick it up. So we don't know that question. So it's tough. I'm sorry?
Have you been tested?
I have not been tested. I tested my home and as far as a control for the water because I do not have LADWP water.
It's a pleasure. You're amazing. I won't go into that.
right.
I'm not one to normally speak. I have such concerns, and for years now, I've been going to see doctors. We honestly need someone like you because the doctors really don't know what they're doing. I just go in again and again and again for myself and my kids, my family. And it's just been really an uphill battle. And they'll honestly say, as I was told even last week, I'll give you a little bit. We got your baseline testing as much as we could. And I finally found out I have asthma. No family history. I'm the one person in our family who works out the most. And I was validated by my symptoms. But even seeing 2 different pulmonologists, now I have some hope that this will get better with certain treatments. My kids, we finally got them tested, and the doctors didn't even really go over the results. Later they said, I said, well, look, these don't look good. And they said, well, they just probably didn't test well. And then I said, well, I want it done again, or I want a pulmonary function, and they were worse on the second time around. And then they said, well, it really just depends on the symptoms. The treatment may not be any different, et cetera, et cetera. And it's still just what I have such a concern for are the children. We look up at Puerto Ranch, all those homes being built right and left. All the children right there under the hill, going to PE, doing their thing. And a lot of families, some are like, thank God, it was like PTSD, it's done, it's over, thank heavens. Some are in denial, we rationalize it. Oh, well, they're doing PE, of course they're worn out, or we think certain things. that seem normal, because maybe that's what we want to believe. But truly, the tests will show what is going on. It's more than just the typical normal kid, experiencing, symptoms. And doctors say, oh, there's a cough, there's headaches, they just really just go with the symptoms. So we really need to support, I can't believe it in this day and age with children always being such the focus, that there's not such a huge movement to do something, even if just for the children. So that's one of my it's heartbreaking. I look at my kids and I look at my family, and we're not cancers, but who knows what could happen.
Yeah.
I want us to detox. I want to get healthy. We've been trying to move as well. I see these spike lines, these spikes in the methane monitoring, usually at the wee hours, and then I get word that it's a courtesy. I call the authorities, Department of Public Health. I call SQAMD, and one of them even said, call the gas company, and they gave me the 800 line. So I really feel like we're just left out on our own, truly, and we do need to advocate. And we also need to take our families, regardless of how normal we may think things are, to somebody such as you who can really see what could be going on that we don't realize is happening. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's about
We got like one more short question, maybe two. Who has not had a chance yet? Over here. Okay, good question, he claims.
Hi, I'm Corey. I'm from Sherman Oaks. I didn't believe that we'd be affected by the gas until a year ago. My left eye actually went completely blurry for about a week. And that's when Heidi had the same things that happened. She was in Northridge and kind of made the connections. Anyways, I got tested from the same place about a year ago and tested high in heavy metals, went through 12 rounds of chelations, and then I got retested recently. And what's interesting is everything went down except for, are you familiar with thallium?
What is it?
Thallium?
I can't hear you.
Thallium.
Yes.
It's for those who don't know, it's actually it's what people used to poison people to kill them, and it's water soluble. But so I actually my thallium went way up, and just from the span of like last year to now, I haven't changed anything. Nothing's different. I got a Berkey. That's the difference. But other than that, that's all I've changed. Do you know if thallium might be tied into what's going on with water? Because I know it dissolves in water. It doesn't smell or anything, and it's weird. It's the only thing that's gone way up.
Yeah, I don't know right now. I mean, it's certainly something we could test with. You can extend the assay on the water to involve a lot of different tests. It's just going to be very costly. But anything you can look at is always of interest. I mean, having knowledge.
Two more questions, and we have to leave. For the media and others, we will adjourn to the Apollo room, which is the next door over, but we'll only be there until about 4:30. So, two more questions. Matt.
Okay, hi. My question is, you didn't talk at all about a heavy metal that's called cadmium. And I have had some issues, and I went to a functional medicine doctor, and she did the blood testing for all the heavy metals, and my cadmium is like skyrocketed. And I'm not a smoker. I have never been around people that smoke, so she said to me, when I told her I lived in Porter Ranch, she's the one who commented and said she has many patients that she's dealing with that live in Porter Ranch that have the same toxic levels as I do. So just curious, is this, you didn't talk about that at all, so.
Well, when we looked at cadmium and we looked at the rest of them, they were not significantly different outside than Porter Ranch. Doesn't mean that's not a problem, right? I mean, you can have other areas of contamination. So what that is, I'd love to talk to the physician, but as far as addressing cadmium singly out of the 38 things, we couldn't. And what came up positive, which was just jumped at us, was the uranium and the lithium. So there's a lot more that needs to be done, basically.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Last question. Walker, do you got someone on your side?
I don't see anyone. Oh, up front here.
Question should be, what time is happy hour?
We got one here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nordella, for everything you're doing. Also, I just wanted to ask, you talk a lot about the tests and the assay, I guess you called it. What exactly should we be asking to have tests on? from just the VOCs, or if we go to the doctor, and it should be our regular general practitioner person, or?
Let me address this, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a narrative. First of all, there's another clinic now that I saw on Facebook that's advertising. Someone tried to go in, I think, somebody tried to go in and find out what lab that was. To me, that makes no sense. I would not go to a different lab than the lab that we're using because we can correlate the data. It comes to me in the computer, and I can lay it out quickly, okay? So that's number one. But you're going to get frustrated, and you know, no offense to your physicians. When I got involved in this, I knew nothing. Zero. Zilch. It was just the symptoms, and so I picked it up and started reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading. And I kind of taught myself. But most physicians don't know that. So you'll get into a situation, and if, no offense to the HMOs, but if you're HMO, they're not going to do these tests for you. It's not cost effective for them because they're in a capitated market. A lot of the doctors would go, I have no idea what to order, because they don't know. So you're up against that too, unfortunately. So, and some will get aggressive and put you off and say, you're a malingerer, and you know, you're just looking for a payday, and or whatever they need to do to justify it to get them out of the middle of that conversation. I mean, those are some of the scenarios. So it's reality, unfortunately.
So where exactly should we go if we wanted to get testing for all this?
You have an open prescription that I've signed to get tested from Great Plains Labs. Okay? You just have to go out, pick up the kits, take the hair, take it home. They'll tell you how to process it. You pay them directly. I do not make a penny on any of this and haven't. So get tested. It's there for you.
And their physician could get a copy of the test, correct?
Well, no, the patient, which is the most important, will get the copy of the test. They can give it to their physician.
There you go, connecting the dots. One last question, and please keep it to a question briefly, thank you. And that's it, we got a break.
I do not understand how my very short hair that has been cut several times since the blowout can be tested. Can it?
Sure. If it's longer than, let's say, 1 1/4 inches.
It's what?
Longer than 1 1/4 inches. If the hair is longer than 1 1/4
But it's
inches.
not the same hair that I had during the gas leak.
Well, that's okay.
Because it's grown.
You're going to see what it is today. You're going to see what it is in the present as we laid out those slides side by side.
Okay.
The proximal end are the present day, and the older hair, longer hair is the older hair.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of labs and stuff that we can get tested at, and what I would really say is do it through this program. That way it becomes part of this data set. If you go through some other lab or some other clinic or something, you know, it won't be part of this information. Thank you.
Okay, just to be clear, Great Plains Lab is right here in the hallway, okay? Open prescription. Your physician will get a copy through you so you can connect all the dots. But the value of going through Great Plains Lab is Dr. Nordella increases his database to understand truly what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you everyone. This concludes our presentation. Media, those that have volunteered and helped so much, we're gonna go to the Apollo room, which is just through the hallway and to the right.